Hey folks, welcome to Monday night to the Davis's Kitchen. I'm Nikki,
I'm Chili.
still the Davis's.
It's still our kitchen.
It's definitely our kitchen, and it's still a dog under her foot as I tripped over her on the way to
The camera.
the camera. So where are we tonight?
North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Mhm.
So North Dakota, South Dakota, not a lot of difference in cuisine specifically. There's a few kind of key differences depending on what end of the state you're on. Um, However, we managed to agree to agree on what we were going to eat tonight. So for those of you maybe just joining us tonight for the first time or have joined us the last few weeks,
We are virtually touring the U.S.
we are absolutely virtually
State by
touring the
state, by
U.S.
state by state by
and
state.
exploring cuisine in each of the states and trying to keep it somewhat traditional to the state and a little bit to the original settlers of the states. Pioneers, I think, is what we're in pioneer territory
Yeah, a little bit.
tonight. But
Not really.
so it's been fun, and we've learned quite a bit, and we've eaten pretty well.
We eat really well.
But it's one of our favorite things to do because when we do travel,
We travel by our tummies.
yeah, we really do. We were culinary travelers before culinary tourism was a thing. I will totally blame my parents for that. So,
And then you married a fat guy. So we stay with it.
but you weren't. You weren't when I married you. I did that to
Nope,
you. I'm
that's
afraid.
true.
And you know what? I don't care.
That's
I love you anyway.
I love you too.
So yeah, North Dakota, we had a couple conversations because one of the more common, I don't know that I'm going to call it traditional necessarily, but more common dishes is goulash. And when I say goulash, I do mean the Midwest American version, not the Hungarian version. There is a difference, but Chili Davis here does not like goulash of any version. So I was very, very quickly had to ixnay the goulash. So
I ixnayed it first.
yeah. So we settled on a couple of cool things, but you found an awesome drink
We did.
that's going to pair very well with our dessert for sure. And somewhere in all of this,
What's a dessert
it is a
It's
dessert
a
drink.
really kind of a flow off what we had 2 weeks ago in Colorado.
It is kind of. There's a lot of similarity in this part of this.
Similarity?
Similarity. I
I
have
don't know if
not been drinking. Similarity.
There is nothing about this cocktail that is slim.
Well, I mean, no, there's really not.
No, there is not.
Struggle bus?
Always.
Frozen ice.
Frozen ice.
I'm getting out of your way.
All right.
Let you do your thing.
So what we're making a Smith and Kearns. So this is a North Dakota drink. It was originated in North Dakota at a bar called the Blue Blazer, if I remember correctly. It's named after 2 oil men who came in and were looking for cocktails, and one was named Smith and one was named Curran, and I guess in the loudness of the bar and the noise of the bar, they misheard his name, and it's called a Kearns. So Smith and Kearns. So we're going to use 2 ounces of Dorta double chocolate liqueur, and this actually calls for a cream de cocoa or a coffee liqueur. And give a big old shout out to Westroads Liquor. They recommended Dorta double chocolate liqueur instead of Hiram Walker's cream de cocoa, which I can't blame them at all for that because it is made a little differently than schnapps. It's made with a rye, I believe, a rye vodka maybe. So we've got 2 ounces of the double chocolate. We've got 2 ounces of the heavy whipping cream. And yes, I am making these for 2 people, so I am putting in 4 ounces and 4 ounces. Would you ice up my glasses, please?
I will ice up your glasses.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just put my glasses on so I can see it.
So you want to put this in your shaker, shake it up. Get it all nice and combined. Yeah, and this is gonna be plenty cold already. And then we're gonna pour out equal portions. Of the cocktail in each of our glasses. Then we're going to top this with
I forgot that part. Yeah.
an ounce of club soda.
What are we topping this with?
I had to rinse out my measuring
Yeah,
cup
no, I got you.
because, with an ounce, and we're not really topping it. We're just kind of pouring it in there. An ounce of club soda. There we go. Those are our cocktails. There are a couple of variations on this.
Hey, Jennifer.
So we've got the Dorta. That's our cream to cocoa substitute or mix. You've got your heavy whipping cream. You've got your club soda. If you wanted to go with a Smith & Wesson, you just load a little bit of vodka, an ounce of vodka in there. That'll get you a Smith & Wesson. Or if you wanted to go with a White Russian, grab the Mr. Blacks. And you pop it out. Your Dorta, your cream to cocoa. You Mr. Blacks or Kahlua, either or. That's pretty much the whole thing. And if you wanted to go back with your Colorado Bulldog, you take the club soda out, put a Coca-Cola in. Variations. All based upon heavy whipping cream and other cream cocktails.
Can I drink mine now?
Of course you can.
All right.
Because I'll make more.
More cheers, folks.
Mm. That's good.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That tastes like malted chocolate milk.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This will get you guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous.
Well, the Smith and Carnes is a little weak.
Yeah,
So,
it's good though.
but if you buckle it up a little bit and get you a Smith & Wesson,
It's hey
with
Mitch,
some of that Tito's.
that okay, you keep talking. I'm drinking.
Yeah. I need to make one right now.
Hi, Mama. Cool.
But yeah, so that's the.
That's a really good drink that they
It
came
is.
up with in that bar so many years ago.
Well, cream and cocoa is good stuff.
Well,
It's
and
chocolate.
that, yeah.
Who doesn't like chocolate?
Well, that's not. I mean, if you can afford to like just a little bit higher quality in
Than Hiram Walker's?
Well, okay, let's not
It's
put
worth
it
it.
down totally because we made it through college on Hiram Walker. But,
Yeah, I agree.
but you did, I didn't. I didn't drink in college because my mother was
I
watching. So, but anyway, if you can upgrade just a tiny bit, you'll get a much better drink.
Yeah, it's worth it. So, just like we don't use triple sec,
Mm-mm.
we
Not anymore.
use
Cointreau.
because it is a much better flavored drink.
I'm gonna have a milk mustache.
But there you go. There are reasons. There are some things that it's worth
Upgrading a bit.
pumping
If you
up the
can afford
volume. Yeah,
And if you can't, it's okay too.
Yeah.
All right.
it'd still be good with Hiram Walker's.
Okay,
It just wouldn't be as good.
I'm gonna move on before I like guzzle mine right now. Alrighty.
So where are we going?
Well, so the two things that we're making tonight, I'm starting with dessert because it's a little bit more complicated than the meal. So we're gonna start with cheese buttons. And when I posted, my mom said something about not knowing what a cheese button was. Not sure if that was true or if she was just saying that. But cheese buttons are like little cheese dumplings. And if I had to compare them to something outside of the North Dakota food culture, I would call them a ravioli, even though they aren't exactly that. They are Russian German in origin and came with the Russian Germans that immigrated early 1900s, give or take.
Mhm.
We've talked about the Russian Germans before and how they brought their somewhat unique food with them because it's not exactly German and it's not exactly Russian and it's a little Polish and a little Ukrainian all mixed together. So that's where these come from. I am totally cheating on these. And I'm using wonton wrappers instead of making my own dough. So we'll talk about how to deal with wonton wrappers because a wonton wrapper is a pasta sheet. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
It is.
So the cheese buttons, you need a dry curd cheese. And these days, that means cottage cheese that you have strained. I have a slow cooker going over here for part 2 of this show, so I'm a little limited on space. So bear with me on that front. So I have taken a cup of cottage cheese and let it sit out and let it strain, and it gets a little thick. And I don't know if you can see that. You might not be able to see that well enough, but it does get quite a bit thicker because you're straining all the liquid out. Now, I started with the cottage
ricotta?
cheese. Well, ricotta would totally make this Italian.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And I actually use cottage cheese when I do this. I use this as a substitute for ricotta in like ravioli, cheese ravioli, or lasagna, something along those lines. So when you strain it, this is what you get, all the liquid. Now, I started with cottage cheese that wasn't real watery to begin with, so depending on the type and brand of cottage cheese that you use, you may or may not have a lot of liquid sitting in that bowl. So this was a cup to start with. It's probably still pretty close to a cup. And we're gonna move that this direction. So to this, we're going to add 1 egg. And again, just like we do if we're making, mixing up a cottage cheese for lasagna or something, we add an egg to that mixture as well. And it kind of lightens your cheese mixture. Sorry, I had to rinse my hands off. Your cheese mixture and gives it a little bit extra volume in the baking process. Now, we're not baking these, we're gonna boil these. We are also making a, are you making another one? We're making
another 2.
Dessert version of the cheese buttons. There are savory and sweet variations. We'll get the dessert, the sweet going, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the savory.
I'm making these little Smith & Wesson, Nico.
Okay. So a little bit of cinnamon in here. Teeny bit of allspice. And you can totally use more spices if you want to. Not if you don't. A little bit of salt because you have to have salt to balance all the other flavors out. I had that conversation with my daughter not too long ago. A bit salt and sweet stuff. A bit of nutmeg. Freshly grated is best. Ground is also fine. I have enough nutmeg to last an army or last a lifetime, or maybe last an army a lifetime. It doesn't take much nutmeg, by the way. And do you want these like sweet on the inside or cottage cheese sweet on the inside?
Sweet.
Okay. So, chili vegan wants these sweet on the inside, so I'm going to add a pinch of sugar to the mixture. I'm only making like maybe 12 of these. We'll say about a teaspoon of sugar.
Oh. Yeah, that's a good one.
What'd you make it with?
Smith & Wesson.
Oh.
If you tip your glass up a little bit, I'll stir for you. So.
Oh, you stir, I think? Is that what this is?
That's what I do.
Right. So while Chili's stirring that together, so sweet variation, and what we'll do then is use that as the filling for our cheese buttons. I can smell the cinnamon over here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted chocolate ones, you could put some cocoa powder in there. Or you could cheat and put hot chocolate mix in there.
Cream cocoa.
You know, you don't want the liquid.
Oh.
You want it as dry as possible.
It's not very dry.
As thin as possible. All right. I'm back.
Because of the egg, I guess.
Yeah, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be like perfectly dry. Okay. So I'm going to move this to the sink. And shift gears just a bit here. I don't have a lot of space. Put down a mat, put all my spices out of the way. I really don't have enough space for this tonight. All right. When you're working with wonton wrappers, you really don't need flour, but I have some handy just in case.
There you go.
Thank
Speaking
you.
of handy, that even can't even taste it. Potatoes.
It's actually pretty good. Okay. So wonton wrappers, you probably have seen these. I think I have 24 laying out. I have no idea. I tried to count them, but they stick together. So make sure you're grabbing one at a time. They're just pasta sheets. So these are perfect to use for this. They're perfect to use for ravioli if you want to make your own filling. So I'm going to lay these down and make sure I have separate
At least
ones.
like
Sorry.
6 or 8 at a time.
I can do
6.
okay.
Save yourself some money.
Yeah. So we'll do 6 down. Now, wonton wrappers, you want to keep them moist while you're working with them. Small batches, not as big of a deal, but I've got a very lightly moistened paper towel that I've laid over them. We have a little scoop, little bitty. And we're going to put a little bitty amount in the middle of each. Can probably do a little bit more than this, but I don't want them to burst in the water. I have a pot of water already boiling over here, so. Just a little bit to each one. And now what we want to do, I've got some water in a bowl. What you want to do is go around the edges one at a time here. Top it. Press down to seal. And there's your cheese button. When you pick them up, you'll want to go all the way around to seal them some more. And we're just going to cross our fingers that those are sealed well enough and they don't blow up in the water. And move that one mic because I have a fold there. Try not to do what I just did on that one. With that little fold. I'll press it down real well here. I actually find it easier to use my thumb for this, by the way. And press them down. And I'm going to go ahead and stick these 3 in. Water. I don't have a huge pan, so I'm going to go 3 at a time. Because you don't want them to stick.
And stack.
Yeah, and those are close enough get mine stick. These will take a couple of minutes. I also need to increase my
Heat.
Yeah. And we're going to just kind of pray that these work. You definitely want boiling water, not simmering water. And don't stick your thumbnail through the wonton wrapper like I just did. Oh. Why did it just get dark in here? Oh, you did that. Okay.
I did that.
I'm sorry. So anyway, there's a savory and a sweet. We're doing the sweet tonight because we want a dessert. There goes my water. Savory versions, you can omit, the warm spices, the sugar. You can any spices you want really with these. I've seen a couple of different kinds of recipes, newer recipes. These get boiled and then sauteed in like butter and caramelized onions. We're going to boil these and saute them in butter and douse them in salted caramel syrup.
Because they're good that way.
Right. Sorry, I'm checking to make sure I don't.
Oh, your head's in the way.
Sorry. So there's what one looks like. Now, what I failed to do here was get my butter going. Would you get me some real butter out of the margarine? It's fine. Start this off.
Where did the go?
It's downstairs. It's like country rock in here.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna drain these, and I'm gonna put them on. Good grief. Will you spray this pan, please?
Yep.
I don't want them to stick to my pan. I'm afraid they will if I don't spray it. Because that's not a nonstick pan. All right, so there's 3. We'll pop these 3 in. So 3 more down. And I'm gonna move them out so they don't stick to each other. Okay. I'm just gonna do 3 at a time here because I don't want. My filling is a wee bit on the runny side. We're gonna make it work though. Okay, so got all that going over here like it's supposed to. The savory versions of these I have seen, in the butter with some onions, and that's kind of how you serve them. And they're served up as a side dish with summer sausage, pickled beets, red beets, that kind of thing. I've also seen them layered in older recipes, like 1950s, 60s, older recipes. Seen them layered after they're boiled with like buttered breadcrumbs in the middle of them, which would also be delicious. So quite a few different types of recipes out there for these guys.
You don't mind me.
Oh, are you getting into that dip again?
I am. It's over here.
Oh my gosh. So I picked Phoebe up from school today, and she says, "Mom, when we get home, will you make buffalo chicken dip in the crock pot?" I'm like, sure, why not? So that's what Shelley's getting into.
It's delicious.
So these don't take long. If you made your own dough for these, you'd be looking at a 5 to 8 minute boil probably. And don't crowd your pan. Moving around so they don't stack on top of one another because they might stick. Oh, perfect. 12 exactly.
Jennifer, what's very yummy? She says she'll have to agree.
Oh.
I don't know which one she's talking about. The cocktail or the
all of the above.
All of the above, or
Now, if you wanted to make ravioli, kind of switching the conversation totally, same process here.
we'll get you back over there. Mm-hmm.
Complete same process. You're using some other kind of filling besides this, or cottage cheese ricotta filling would work too. And you'd have a Italian-based bread sauce or cream sauce or garlic butter. We won't even get into how you make wonton conversation because that's another state altogether.
Yep.
So I know which one. Okay.
We've probably already been there.
We have, yeah. That would have been a good Chinatown conversation. Once these sit and kind of start to cool a bit, you can see how translucent they are. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I've broken that one.
It's okay.
Okay. Ooh, hot. Baby. It's fine. It's clarified. It's done.
Oh, I'm just moving it around the page.
All right, so butter, margarine. I've got clarified butter in there right now. Some combination variation thereof. We're gonna let this melt. The rest of the way. Sorry, I'm trying to get some oil in here.
Oh, it's so delicious. She says the dip.
That too.
Yeah, it is good.
We're gonna kind of go in. Yeah, you're right about the filling. It was too liquidy because it spread out in the middle, and you don't really want it to do that. So
That's not bad
okay.
though.
Nah. You know what? They're gonna be good no matter what.
That's what I'm thinking.
I did have one bust though because I got cottage cheese in the water. I'm not sure which one did it. Yep, that was that one. Right.
Yeah. If you go like this,
Oh, I'm sorry.
your head gets on the camera.
Well, they can see my gray hair again.
It's definitely showing.
I'll try not to do that. Stay way back here.
Hi, Costas.
Hey, Costa. Would you hand me one of the wide, kind of flattish bowls in there? You want salted caramel or do you want white chocolate?
Salted caramel.
Okay.
Why do I have to make a choice? Why not both?
You can have both.
Some of each.
Okay, we're gonna have some of each.
Like do a drizzle of on one and then a drizzle on the other. I don't see anybody here telling me that I can only have one. We made enough.
We did. Ah.
You're just using the butter to brown them?
Using the butter to brown them. And I'm just going to do this one batch. I'll do the other ones after we get done. That way we can show everybody the...
Okay.
Dude, when you're out of space, you use what you got. And right now the oven is it.
I'll get it.
All right, so, ooh, that one puffed up. I'm going to plate all 4 of them right here.
Okay.
Some cute little cheese buttons.
They look really good.
You want more chocolate and caramel?
Yeah. Well,
Which one?
I wasn't expecting them to be on top of each other. I was
Well, you can have.
like one and then one and one and then one.
That's
one
too
and
thick.
then one. And use the white chocolate.
No, I've got caramel. So I'm cheating also on the on the sauce I'm using. Thank you.
Hold on.
Holding.
There. Now.
Drizzle. All right, 4 cheese buttons. Slightly flatter than I would want them to be. Want white chocolate too?
I'll do that.
Okay, then you acted weird. You're gonna kind of be swimming. That's okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
So dessert first. We're gonna let those sit and cool before you bite into them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so dessert first, but those are cheese buttons. Again, slightly flatter than I would want them to be. My filling was a little bit. You're gonna eat that right off the spoon, aren't you?
Ooh,
Yeah, you. I know you too well. All right, I'm gonna do a camera switch here, so you might want to put them on us and not this, because this could make them dizzy.
well, give me a second. Okay, go for it.
All right, so we have a couple of things going on here.
Sherry, hello. How are you?
Hey, Sherry. We have 2.
Give me a second. All right, go for it.
2 chuck roasts that I have slow cooked all day. They went in at 7:30 this morning. I did them for about 9 hours because I wanted them really to just fall apart, and I think they're going to. And we're going to check that. A little bit of fat in here. The bone is still in here, but Chili Bean's going to shred these. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So that just fell apart. So I'll have Chili shred these while I show you how to do the gravy. So what we're making is open-faced beef dip sandwiches. This is kind of a Midwestern thing, but it's very popular in North Dakota. I love it. Chili loves it. Goulash got mixed. Here we are.
Right.
So, there we go. So I did 2 of them, so we'd have some leftovers. Now, a couple things. Keep the meat separate from the gravy if you're going to do the open-faced beef dip sandwiches. If you want like Italian beef kind of sandwich, mix it all back together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you how to do gravy from the pan drippings
Ready?
or this, yeah, in this case, the
Crock
crock
pot.
pot drippings. Now, I have a slow cooker that is really a multi-cooker. It is the Instant Pot brand. It is not a pressure cooker, however. It does saute and do all sorts of other things. So I have it on the saute mode. I have already drained or strained some of the fat off the top of this, and I'm going to show you. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I'll show them.
Well, probably. I don't know. We're going to try. Probably not. So on my measuring cup here, I've got about 1/2 inch at the bottom of kind of the skim off the top, and then it's separated, and there's another 1/2 inch of fat. You want some fat in here. You don't want the skimmy stuff that kind of comes off the fat of the beef when it cooks, slow cooks. So skim all that out, strain it out. Buy yourself a strainer where you can just get in here and do it. The dog's in the way. So I have approximately, and all of this here, we're going to leave that there. I probably have a pint plus of liquid, and we're going to add more liquid to that. And I have it on saute, so I need to wait for this to kind of come to a boil, and it's already starting. I can see it down here doing its thing. So anytime you have this amount of liquid from the slow cooker and you want gravy, or if you've done this in a pressure cooker and you want gravy, you need to start with cornstarch. Because that's going to be your thickening agent to get to the gravy. Now, you can totally cheat and buy gravy, like beef gravy packets. You'll need about 2, maybe 3 of them for this to cover this amount of liquid. We're going to make a slurry. As soon as I find what I did with my jar with water in it. Hiding over here. To mix into this once it gets boiling and turn it to gravy. You can do the same process with any meat, drippings, liquid, broth, doesn't matter, same process. If I were doing this in a skillet from, maybe I had seared off a steak or something and I want to use those, I do the flour and roux method that way. This way, we need the slurry because there's just way too much liquid in here and not enough fat for the flour. So while this is starting to do its thing, I have, I don't know, 3/4 of a cup of liquid here, which might be too much. And of course, I'll move it out. So I have about 1/2 a cup. I'm going to pour most of it out, so I have about 1/4 of a cup because I am going to add some red wine to it, by golly, to make it about 1/2 a cup. I'm going to add the end of the red wine to it. To that, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. To that, I'm going to add 3 heaping tablespoons of cornstarch, because you're going to need a tablespoon per cup of liquid that you have to thicken it like gravy. Beautiful. Oh, excuse me. I'm doing this in a mason jar for this reason. So much easier with cornstarch to do this than it is to try to mix things up. Now this is starting to boil. I can kind of see it coming up. The heating element of this is in the middle, so I kind of watch that middle area. Now, here's my secret weapon. In addition to the beef stock, I have in here that I slow cooked the meat in beef stock, red wine, Worcestershire, and some spices, nothing major, garlic, salt, pepper, that kind of thing. Some powdered mushroom that my husband hates. It gives good flavor. There's no mushroom in here. He'll survive.
I'll be fine.
Okay. So, in addition to that, secret weapon, better than bouillon. I gotta tell you, it really very much is. And they have all sorts of flavors now. Doesn't take much. It's about a teaspoon per cup of water. So depending on how heavy you want this flavor, add a teaspoon or two. And it's sticky. My fingers
That's
do
about
that.
all I can do.
That's fine.
I'm sure that you can do better.
That's perfect. Oh, that's so good. And I use the roast beef flavor, but they have like regular. I'm gonna mix that in here. I figured a gravy lesson a few weeks before Thanksgiving might not be a bad thing.
Mhm.
Sorry, that was kind of painful to watch. I caught a glimpse of that, me shaking the bottle.
I liked it. I watched it. I'll replay it later.
Okay, dirty mind. Now, we shook that cornstarch up in the jar. We gotta whisk it or it'll start to clump together until it starts doing its thing here. You don't want clumpy gravy.
Nope.
And it has to be boiling for it to thicken. That's what activates the cornstarch to go poof. I'm gonna get thick on you. And continue. See, it didn't take long either with that amount of cornstarch.
No, it didn't.
So whisk a minute, even though it's nice and thick, because you want that cornstarch to cook. You don't want that flavor. And if you think it's too thick, beef stock, a little bit of water to thin it out if you want.
That's like damn near perfect.
It is. Okay, I've turned it off. Once you turn your, like if you were doing this over the stove, and by the way, you totally can do this. If you've got roast beef in the oven, Sunday pot roast in the oven, pork roast, chicken, do the same thing and put your roaster over the stove top, turn the stove burners on, and do exactly what I'm doing here over your stove burners. And then just pull it from the heat once it gets thick.
Don't watch sugar.
You've been watching Sugar. Sugar knows what I'm doing. I was
Sugar
looking for my
says-
gravy boat.
She says, "You're making gravy, Mama. I like gravy a lot."
I'm gonna let that sit a second. It's gonna keep going because my crock pot's hot. I have to unplug your dip for a minute. I'm sorry.
It's not my dip. It's Phoebe's dip.
It's Phoebe's dip, but you're eating it.
I am.
So I have to plug my toaster back in. So open-faced beef dip sandwiches, normally served with mashed potatoes that are mashed potatoed out. So we're eating this and cheese buttons. So
That's right.
serve your mashed potatoes, your green beans, whatever you want with it, but we're not tonight.
No, 'cause
Buy
we did a whole bunch of mashed potatoes over the weekend.
Texas toast. Buy the good stuff.
Hand it to me. Couple slices.
1, 2, 3. Go ahead and put popcorn in there.
Deal.
Always a deal, yeah. I like it. And I'll take a photo of Phoebe's.
A what?
A photo of Phoebe's. I don't want my gravy to get too far down here. Alright, I'm actually going to pull this from the heat. Totally is. Sit it over here without killing my dog. That way it fits.
Okay.
Now, one thing that you will notice after your gravy sits, it's going to skip over the top. That is beautiful. That's also why I did 2 of them, because they're so fatty.
They are fatty.
Sorry, I moved things around. There. You can see that.
Polenta for gravy. Mm.
As a
Wow.
thickener, yeah. That would work as a thickener. Here, I'm going to use spoons for those cheese buttons, because that's kind of what they look like. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
They stop there, and they're a little on the stuck together side.
No, that's not together.
We're going to eat a cheese button while the toast is toasting.
Mhm.
You want me to cut it with the fork?
No, I got it.
Okay, he's got it.
See, look.
Got it going on. Beautiful.
One gotten.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even flat, they're good.
Oh.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Toast done.
I need a plate though.
I get that.
Thank you.
Oh, she says blend instead of potatoes.
Mm. Oh, as a side, yeah, that would be delicious. I almost bought polenta when I ran to the store this afternoon. Thank you. That's fine.
Okay.
You gotta do yours.
Okay.
All right. My tongs.
I haven't seen them.
What are we thinking?
It's a big one. Hold on, and I'll get you to the.
And you could totally, do sliced roast beef. There's nothing that says this has to be shredded or pulled or otherwise, but it had been in the slow cooker so long that shredding was going to be what happened regardless. There probably won't be enough for lunch tomorrow. Even out of two of those guys.
Let me see. Push it forward, please. Okay, hold on a second. Let me. Down a little bit because you're. There we go.
Okay, so there's that part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't see the.
Well, I'm going to go back. Just stay where you're at.
Okay. Oh, look at that gravy. Mm-hmm.
And if it gets thick on you while it sits, just thin it out with some liquid.
It'll be fine.
There you go.
Here, let me take that plate for you. And I'll go put it where it belongs.
In your belly.
Not yet. Oh, man.
There it is, folks. That's a little bit on the hot side, maybe to test drive here.
There we go.
The beef and the gravy, however, won't be.
Oh. Yeah, mine's a little warm.
Oh.
That plate's hot. Whew.
No, that's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That is like seriously fatty.
That's all you do on that.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Well,
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah, those were fatty guys. That was a fatty cow.
Yeah, these are fatty
You know
cow.
what? Meh.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so there we have
Not
it.
all cows are skinny cows.
Most cows are not skinny cows.
That's right.
Mm.
It's a good eating's cow. There we go. There's dinner in 47 minutes.
With dessert.
With dessert and a cocktail or two. Actually, quite a bit of cocktails if you were really paying attention.
Yeah, like variations in
Yeah, like 5.
these. I'm going to eat and then I'll make some more of these.
We have more of those. Mm-hmm. No, I'm looking over there.
Oh, wow.
Waiting for that to cool off a little bit so that I can go sit down at the table with it and just eat.
So, North Dakota variations on this, which is actually kind of fun that you can mix and match with the same ingredients.
The same basic.
Or same basic ingredients.
Yeah, you're rolling in a bottle and out a bottle, or you're rolling in a bottle and keeping a bottle.
Yeah.
Or you're rolling out your club soda and putting in Coca-Cola.
Soda.
We use Coca-Cola.
Dessert based. Well, I mean, you're mixing, yeah. Dessert variation on the cheese buttons, but remember there's a savory, a few savory variations. And we probably took a few liberties with this, but
it's our house.
Therein lies the beauty
we are
of
only
cooking.
Virtually in North Dakota.
And
we're not there for sure.
Guys, that's what cooking's all about. Make it yours. Yeah. Make it how you enjoy food. Yeah. And then open faced beef dip sandwiches. You got the gravy lesson. You'll be fine on Turkey Day. Yeah. No matter what kind of meat you are serving. to make your own gravy. And if it, like I said, if it's not thick enough, add a little bit more of a cornstarch slurry. If it gets too thick or gets thick in the pan before you serve it, thin it out with a little water or additional stock or wine. Would work too.
Don't use Dorda to thin out your
well, not for this, no.
gravy.
Although there is a chocolate gravy.
Yeah.
So, so there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
This
is like these are delicious. That is one of my favorite meals right there.
I'm like, well, I'm ready to hit end so that I can go eat.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Guess where we're going next week?
Guess what? We're moving one state south. To South Dakota.
And we'll be playing off of a different part of the cultural experience and hedging away from the Germanic side of things a lot, actually. So
I don't know what we'll have to cocktail wise.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. We always do.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us on Monday night. Go eat good food.
Maybe a Roosevelt.
Okay.
Maybe.
Whatever. You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Enjoy yourselves.